when I'm working, this is what I'm trying to do, to be the best investor, the best incubator I can be.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Tech, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with Tech. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders, another really exciting episode because it's different. And today we're in the Negev of Israel, in the desert, talking about innovation and talking about how the startup ecosystem can transcend geographical barriers. And today we're talking about InNegev with Amir Tzach, Vice President of Investments and Business Development at InNegev Incubator, which invests in promising ventures in the fields of climate tech, food tech, agritech. Prior to that, Amir was an investment banking manager leading major transactions. Also, as a student, he was the president of the student board of the management school in the Hebrew University. Meet Amir. Amir Tzach, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Thank you very, very much for joining me. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. We're looking at the startup ecosystem, and we're looking at the Negev, and we're looking at the government and the Israel Innovation Authority and the world of accelerators. So a lot for us to unpack today about your work with InNegev as a vice president of investments and biz dev, and a lot of different layers to understand the important work that you do for the ecosystem here. And a fascinating journey simply about where you are and what you do there. So Amir, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. InNegev is a very inspiring and kind of my dream job. Also, creating good by good companies and developing the ecosystem in the Negev. So what can be better?
So the phrase "dream job," I don't take that lightly. It's an amazing sentence to be said about the place that you work in. Why is this your dream job?
Honestly, it's such a cliche, but someone says that if you work every day but you're not feeling like you're working, that's the dream job. That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of like you, meeting fascinating people, meeting entrepreneurs, surrounding with the brilliant minds of Israel and the Negev, while creating an impact and moving the needle in Israel. So.
Mm-hmm. So the connection to the Negev, where does that come from for you?
Honestly, for me, Negev, I have to say, because I was originally born and raised in Jerusalem. Now I'm living in Tel Aviv, and I'm starting the InNegev project about 3 years ago when we went to the tender. Myself and and my partner in the Negev, Dror Green. We try to establish the whole Negev ecosystem to create something new that invests in the climate tech, in agritech, and food tech in Negev 4.0 by bringing together also financial investors and also strategic investor in industrial players, and also TTOs, which tech stands for technology tech transfer offices. And we did it together in 3 years ago, and that's my passion. This is where my passion comes from, to the Negev.
So maybe take me 30,000 feet in the air and a bit more, with a more generalistic view about what's happening today in the ecosystem. Why is it even a special thing to say that we have an accelerator in the Negev?
So apologize, but I want to correct you. It's an incubator.
An incubator, sorry.
Yeah. It's a special thing because if you look at the demographic of Israel and the people who work in the high tech, only 3% of the high tech workers in Israel come from the Negev region. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're dealing with, right? So we need to move the needle and take these percentages a lot higher. Not to 20%, but if it will be 10%, then it's okay. Not just for Negev, as an Israel policy. And this is where InNegev and such other accelerators come about, because we are trying to attack it from the beginning to create and surround all of this ecosystem and all of these fragmented players who doesn't really communicate it with each other up until recently, to start working together to create an ecosystem, exactly as it happens in Tel Aviv, San Francisco, and other places in the world.
So how do you actually go about doing that and achieving that growth from 3% to 10%? What needs to happen, and how do you actually do it?
Okay, so we take a lot of actions. First of all, by being an investor, right? We are especially investor because we are not just investing in companies and people. We are actually creating companies. We are venture builders. So we try to we are coming to these TTOs and research institute with problems that we know from from industrial players such as Netafim and SodaStream, who are part of our shareholders. But not only them, other players in Israel and other industrial players in Israel and worldwide, and we try to attack these problems, and we take it by seeing them in the academia. Once we see this potential, we started to build the venture around it. We have advisors, we are bringing CEOs, we're bringing founders, and so on, and creating from this seed a company. This is one thing we do. We also have put a big emphasis of education, and trying to take other part of the Israel society that doesn't come into light when you think about the high-tech citizens, such as the Bedouin citizens, to this accelerator and incubator. So we are promoting and helping and mentoring Bedouin accelerators.
But more tangibly, the process of incubating, and you corrected me before, but the difference between incubation and acceleration is different. In incubation,
True.
You have to not just accelerate a process that started, but you actually have to ignite the process and plant the seed.
True.
What actually happens in Negev? How do you actually go about finding the right teams, putting them together, and finding the right ideas for them to work on?
So this is the secret sauce. And this is very, very difficult. Honestly, this is a very difficult job. But what we do is, we are very lucky, right? As InNegev, because like I said, we are having financial investor in our shareholders and also industrial investors. So we sit with them on almost a weekly or even not a daily basis about their struggles, about the problems of tomorrow. And we are sitting with not only them, with ICL or some Nestle, Strauss, or other big companies in the climate scene, and trying to attack these problems. Once we understand the problems, we go to the research institute and try to see what is their solution for these problems.
And when you say research institute, is this universities,
like
researchers?
Universities, researchers in the Negev. There's a lot of agriculture scene, right? So there's like Gilat Research Institute, Sami Shamoun College Institute, Volcani Research Institute. So we are working a lot of them together and trying to get all these anchors that are in the Negev, and to utilizing them and their know-how into companies. And once we see that, and we see, okay, there's a product, there is a venture technology, there is a product market fit. Now, this is the first step. The second step is trying to establish the team around it and the market around it, with the industry and advisory board that will help us to create it. We are doing most of the job that we need to do before we invest in. It takes us between 4 months to 6 months to invest in a company.
And how much would that be investment? Would an investment there be from InNegev?
Between $300 to $600, and we're trying to build this as a round, right?
So that would constitute more of a pre-seed round of between 300,000 to 600, where you would be contributing to that round. I'm guessing with other strategic angels and other investors, correct?
True. True.
And so tell me, a few maybe specific case studies of what's been happening. You've mentioned that this has been going on for a few years now. So what's been happening within Negev until now? And what things that, to just paint a clear
Oh,
picture in my mind.
sure. So we won the tender in 2 years ago, and we started operating 1.5 years ago, 18 months ago. I think one of the first project we saw was a project from Ben Gurion. Now it's called Picomers. I met the researcher and honestly fell in love with the project because it's it's a semi-robot, hand robot that helps in picking, last mile picking of store in warehouses. That's a big problem today, right? Because it's still a manpower job, and you need to replace it. We did put this project in one of the Ben Gurion University accelerators, which we also promote and a partner of. We funded we connected between the CEO to a CEO, great CEO, actually from the center of Israel, to this company, to Picomers, and now I think 3 months ago we actually invested in the company. So it took us a lot of time to create this environment, but now this company has 17 employees.
Wow.
17 employees, college students from the university that wanted, not all of them from the Be'er Sheva region, some of them of Israeli center, they want to stay and be full part employees in the companies, in this company. We are connected them with a lot of players, big names. Like, apologize, but I can't mention the names, to have pilots with them in this year, and now we are starting the next round. This is one example. Another great example is a spin-off of a company that came from Be'er Sheva in the fields of new alternative proteins. This company is in the medical devices and actually pharma grade company, and they have a spin-off to alternative protein. They came to us because from the ecosystem. Listen, you know how to build this, not us. Let's have a licensing agreement, and the technology is yours. This is what I'm working on until now. So this is two great examples for what we're doing on a daily basis.
And so, how many companies have gone through the program, and so sort of what is the structure like and the vision for this?
Okay, so up until now we have 5 portfolio companies and three more to go in the next 2 months, and we want to invest in 30 to 40 companies until the end of our license, which is in 4 years from now.
What does that mean? The end of the license from the Israel Innovation Authority?
Okay, so the IIA, which promotes innovation in Israel, announced a tender 3 years ago to invest in to build incubators in the periphery. It was a highly competitive bid because there was no specific theme, but you needed to promote the specific region that you are operating in by taking all of the anchors together and utilizing them into an ecosystem that working together. There was 3 winners: us, which came in first, I4 Valley in the Galilee, and another one in the Negev, which invests more in cannabis tech. The license was for 5 years, and we have 4 more years to go.
So what does it actually mean to get the license? So how does this actually operate, and what is sort of your responsibility towards the Israel Innovation Authority? What is their responsibility towards you?
So it means that you have a partner, which is the IAA, and the IAA helping you to lay down the grounds for you to do the great job that you were assigned to do. And also that every company that we want to invest in needs to be approved by the IAA, which is a great thing because the IAA have the most notable researchers and advisors that Israel has. They are a great, I can't emphasize it enough, great partner for us.
Phenomenal. And once we have, the IAA as a partner here in this regard, is that so? I guess what they're interested in is to see more startups from the periphery. That's their goal, right? Their vision.
True. True.
And so what is sort of how do they measure you? So in other words, if I were to ask the IAA, what is sort of the KPI of InNegev? What is what is at the end? Is it the number of startups that come out? Is it getting an exit from the Negev? What is what is really the goal here?
They want to see a high number of companies that stay and operate in the Negev region, and this is what we're trying to do. That these companies, once they be mature, will stay in the Negev. We can't force them to do it, but this is why I'm saying utilizing the anchors in the Negev region, because by utilizing them, you can provide them a solid ground to stay, and not just by forcing them. Because and this is our KPI, honestly.
So what I'm understanding from this is that what they're saying is that we're less interested about the immediate short-term benefits, but we're looking to create an ecosystem here which is self-sufficient, which is anchored in the roots of the Negev, and is not looking to just create companies and then move to the center, but create an ecosystem which can support its internal companies as well, right?
Sure.
What else needs to happen in your eyes in order to continue promoting that? Because it sounds like you, as InNegev, are a piece of a puzzle that of the nation that is trying to promote innovation down there. Where what else needs to happen in the next few years, in your opinion, to continue promoting this mission and vision?
The things that are need to happen actually are happening, right? Because Ben-Gurion University are investing a lot in building startups and technology, and transforming these technologies into valid startups in Ben-Gurion. A lot of investors are putting their eyes on the potential in the Negev. There is Amman, the Israeli intelligence forces that are moving to the Negev region, meaning that the Negev will enjoy a great manpower that can stay here and promote the Negev. So all of these things together are putting all the Negev region as a whole, and the Negev, as you rightfully noted, is a piece in this puzzle in the right place to go to do this next leap that we all hoping for.
How do you now yourself, Amir, get into incubation and startup incubation? How does one find themselves working on incubating many startups? You've incubated 5 startups already, 3 more on the way. How does one find themselves doing that?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out. Why? Because my background is investment banking, big M&As and IPOs in Israel before I was in Negev, and once my first born was we had my firstborn Alma, I decided that I need some break from my previous job, and the guys that try to establish the InNegev company turned to me and said, "Listen, we need some help going into this tender," and I said, "Okay, interesting, but it's not really my expertise." And tell me, "Listen, we want you. We know what we're doing. Trust us. It will be okay." And honestly, I fell in love with InNegev. This is how it happened. So yeah, I was in the right place in the right time. Honestly,
the right place at the right time, and I think that there's a lot of there's a lot of inspiration to be taken from the way that you're looking at your job and the way that you're acting on it. And so even before investment banking, Amir, thinking about you as a kid and roaming the world, what were you really fascinated by? What really sparked your curiosity?
Basketball. I'm a huge Michael Jordan junkie. I'm still looking at all the videos of him on YouTube. I watched
Really?
The Last Dance for like 20 times.
Actually, what is it? What is it about? What is it about Michael that really inspires you?
His drive to win is like no other. His passion to the game, and his is when you say to someone he's Michael Jordan off, it's the highest accomplishment you can give to someone, right? And this is when I'm working. This is what I'm trying to do, to be the best investor, the best incubator I can be. And this is
I
what I'm
love
taking
it.
from him.
Amir, toda rabba. Thank you very much,
Thank
both
you.
for these 20 minutes, but also for the great work you're doing for Israel and the Negev. And it sounds like a fascinating work that changes a lot. And it sounds like you are enjoying it quite a bit and are making a very positive impact. So thank you very much, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you very much. You're all invited
Thank you.
to the Negev.
Thank you.